make our trek across the Chesapeake Bay from the western side to the eastern shore, I've got to stop and pick up my friend Paul Warner. He lives in Sherwood Forest and we're approaching his little marina, so we're going to pick him up first. Then for safety, the two of us are going to motor over together to the St. Michael's Classic Antique Boat Show. So please stay with us, we're on the road. I'm Steve Izant. So there's my friend Paul. He's got a boat called Cocktail Island. We're starting off for St. Michael's on the eastern shore. It's going to take us about an hour and a half to get over there. We're going to cruise at about 22 knots, so please stay with us as we cruise across the Chesapeake. Well, we're almost to St. Michael's. You can see Paul's boat. He's been following me over. We've got about another 15 minutes and we're going to pull into the little harbor at St. Michael's, Maryland. We're going to tie up at the Chesapeake Maritime Museum. Stay with us. This is On the Road. I'm Steve Izant. Well, Paul and I made it safely across the Chesapeake. We're all tied up. The show's about to begin. So we're going to first go out to the entrance of the Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum. Please stay with us because we're on the road. I'm Steve Izant with Paul Warner. We've got a lot coming up. It's going to be a great show. It's our show On the Road. I'm Steve Izant with Paul Warner. Of all these things, what did you like best?
I think I like the museum best because it's on the water. It has a historic lighthouse. It has lovely boats, vintage as well as classic boats that we have here at the show. It's not here, so you should come visit. There's a lot of opportunities. I think it's my favorite location.
It's a great day trip, as I've said before. St. Michael's is a wonderful little place. The Maritime Museum is just a gem that more people should know about. So let's take a look. Well, now what fun is this? You want to come to the St. Michael's Maritime Museum and have a boat ride? That's what these folks are doing. This is called a buy boat, Mr. Jim, but it's been converted now. And it just hauls tourists around the bay. What fun, it's a great boat. A buy boat would go out and would buy crabs or oysters from the waterman. This boat here now is the lap of luxury. It doesn't have to work anymore, it just hauls around guests of the museum. So there it goes. There's also boat rides available on the water taxi, as well as the Bug-Eye Sloop, which is just off to the left out of camera. But there goes Mr. Jim. Well, here's another chance to ride on a boat. This is the Selina II. I think this is what you would call a catboat. It's also gaff rigged, which means you see the boom. That's the two pieces of horizontal wood. Because there's a boom on the top and the bottom, that's called gaff rigged. And I think that's probably, as I mentioned before, a catboat. So Selina II from Frenchtown, Maryland. So many opportunities out here at St. Michael's, Maryland. Well, now, is this a cute boat or what? This is made by the Dorset Company. It's called a Catalina. And as my wife would say, it's just as cute as it wants to be. It's here at the boat show. It's not many times that you get to see an all-red boat. But this boat has a good chance for winning the competitor's trophy or maybe best in show by the guests, because when you come here to the museum you also get to vote during the boat show. So I'm voting for this one for best outboard motor small craft. This is called Sunburn, a Dorset Catalina. Well, we just gave you kind of a panoramic view of the show, but here's another more direct view of some of the beautiful mahogany Chris craft that are here. There's also some Hacker Craft and some Garwoods. Those are famous manufacturers. Lyman. None of those boat builders are still in business. They all went under. Chris Craft is, although they went broke several times, but they're still making good boats now. Anyways, you can see there's a lot of interest in the dock, on the dock, in these boats. And most of these are not professionally done, or done by professionals, I should say, but rather done by their owners. It's a labor of love, and sometimes it takes years to restore one of these beautiful boats. Now, one controversy is, what about fiberglass boats? In the early years, when fiberglass first came out, people kind of poo-pooed that, well, that's never going to be important, but no one thought fiberglass would last that long. But I own a boat that was built in 1975 and it's fiberglass, and so now they're creating a new category called classic glass. That's a Lyman right there. The hull is what's called lap straight, where the planks are put one over the other, kind of overlapping. And what's this guy trying to do here? He's trying to back himself out or in or get out before he bumps into the other boat. So you give it a little gas and off you go. Just love the sound of a good engine though. That's a single engine Lyman. That's a wooden Lyman, so that was probably built sometime in the 60s. One of the special features of the show, the 25th anniversary for the Antique and Classic Boat Show, are these 1959 Chris-Craft Silver Arrows. These boats are really cool, and if you look at them, they reflect the styling of the 1959 era. Remember those Cadillacs with those huge big fins? Snake eyes, I think they called them. Well, boat designers sometimes came from car companies, and they brought along what was happening in society, which in the case of the Chris-Craft Silver Arrow is what you see before you. Now, we don't know exactly how many Chris-Craft made of these boats, but we now know there's only about 69 of them left in the United States. We're going to take a quick look at the instrument panel in just a second, because what you're going to see is they sort of look like cars. Boat designers, to save money, used car gauges and car parts. So let's take a quick look at the Chris-Craft Silver Arrow dashboard. Well, here we are taking a look at the dashboard of the 1959 Chris-Craft Silver Arrow. You can see the gauges look like they come from a car, because they do. That's how they saved money, as we just mentioned. And the steering wheel, that's a car steering wheel. Now, there isn't a horn, but it is a car steering wheel. So boats in the 1959 era and the early 60s, done by car designers, some of them anyway, and reflected what was happening in society. This is On the Road, and we're at the St. Michael's Maritime Museum. Please stay with us. Now, the boat that's right in front of us is what's known as a bug-eye. And this is a boat that fishermen would go to get crabs on, or in the winter, when crabs are out of season, they'd go get the oysters. Now, due to mechanization, however, though, these boats couldn't compete. And so you'll see the little boat right at the very end. That's called a pusher boat. That's motorized. The bug-eye itself does not have an engine. So 3 days a week by state law, the little pusher boat can push the bug-eye, and they can make a lot more time. Looking at some of the boats in the background, this one in the distance is called a buy boat. It's been restored. Now, a buy boat would go out into the middle of the Chesapeake, and it would meet up with one of the bug-eyes, for example, and it would buy the crabs, or it would buy the oysters. That's why it's called a buy boat. There aren't many buy boats left, but there's one that's restored. Next to that, there's a small boat that has a really neat stern. That's the rear end of a boat. That stern is called a drake tail, sort of like maybe taking after the drake-tailed duck. But that's a waterman's boat. I don't know if you can see it, but there is a little lever on the right-hand side of the boat, about 2/3 of the way back. And that's actually where he would control the speed of the boat, so he did not have to go in the little wheelhouse. He could fish for crabs or oysters and steer the boat at the same time back there in the stern. And what we have before us is another bug-eye. This is called the Edna Lockwood. The reason this one's important to show to you is that this was first built in 1839. So it's now part of the museum. They saved it, they rebuilt it, and it's here for people to enjoy. But imagine that, a boat built in 1839 and it's still afloat. That's museum member getting on board there. We're not quite sure what she's going to do. Going down below. So the Edna Lockwood, built in 1839. This is on the road. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. We're here at the St. Michael's Marina. Just wanted to show you that there's no hard feelings from the War of 1812. St. Michael's and the British, they're friends, as you can see by the flags that are flying. We're here at the St. Michael's Marina. It's right next to the Crab and Steakhouse, where you can get a great crab cake or a steak, all here at St. Michael's. There's so much to see here in the harbor. We're looking across the harbor right now to the Crab Claw restaurant. They steam their crabs right there in front of you, so you know they're fresh. We're going to slowly pan around, and what you start to see now is the Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum in the background. Some of the large cruisers that are there are here for the boat show. Some really nice boats. The masts in the background are of the Bug-Eye, as it's called. Out there now, we're looking at the Chester River. We're going to take a break in just a second. Don't go away. We're about to do one of the pilings, so I have to stop the camera for a moment. But it'll start in just a second. As promised, I got past that piling. We're going to just slowly fan and pan. Coming up is the St. Michael's Harbor Inn and Spa. I haven't stayed there, but I understand it's very nice. It's the upscale end of town here if you want the spa treatment. And also what you see there is a Trumpy. It's a wonderful old boat. Trumpies were made in Annapolis from about 1947 to 1972. Unfortunately, the company, like a lot of wooden boat companies at that time, just couldn't keep up with the competition, which was switching to fiberglass. But all those boats were hand-built. John Trumpy even had his workers craft the furniture inside. They're very expensive boats to maintain, but those that own them just love them. That boat, I understand, belongs to the hotel now, so it's available for charter if you wanted to have a wedding, for example, or a reception. It's a wonderful boat. It'll take you out on the Miles River. Sorry, I don't know what the price is, but I'm sure it's well worth it to be on a Trumpy, handcrafted in Annapolis. I should mention that some of you may be familiar with the name Sequoia, the presidential yacht, which is no longer owned by the U.S. government, but the Sequoia was a Trumpy built around the turn of the century. It's down in Virginia now. It's run by a private foundation. So now we're going to continue our house tour. We're out here now in what's called the Field of Dreams. These are people that have boats for sale. Boats that are actually in the show, you can't put a for sale sign on them. So those people that want to sell their boats, they put them back here in the Field of Dreams. So do you see one you might want? We've got some classic boats. We've got a couple of sailboats. That boat right in front of us is called a launch. In the old days, the well-to-do that had really big yachts, they'd have little boats like this that would ferry them from their big boat into shore. This is a modern launch, though. It's what they call a reproduction. It's made to look like an old launch. So this is the Field of Dreams. We're on the road. We're still at the Maritime Museum, so please stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, what do my eyes spy? It looks like a 1939 Consolidated. I'm going to guess 50 to 52 feet. Consolidated was the name of a company that manufactured high-end, high-quality yachts. Unfortunately, they are long since gone, like most wooden boat makers. But that's a beautiful boat. Obviously, it's been restored. So let's walk over there and go aboard, find out what the name is. But I'm guessing that's a Consolidated, probably from the late 30s. So we're in the aft cabin of the Blue Mist. You saw her just a moment ago from the outside. This is a wonderful Consolidated. That's the name of the boat company. Consolidated is no longer in business, but this is a 52-foot Consolidated. It was manufactured in 1917. It was restored in the year 2000. Its speed is 9 knots, which is about 14 miles per hour, and this boat's for sale. So if you have $105,000 It's located in Galesville, Maryland. So we're going to photograph a little bit more of the interior, but this is a beautifully restored boat. This is the helm of the boat, or the place where they steer it. For a boat of 52 feet, it's a pretty simple affair. You've got the steering wheel. To the left there, you have the gear that makes it go forward or back, and as a concession to the modern age, they do have a few gauges to tell engine temperature and RPMs and a depth finder. And forward is a compass. So we're on the Blue Mist. It's a wonderful boat. We're here in St. Michael's. This is On the Road. I'm Steve Izant. We're still in the Field of Dreams. I wanted to show you this 1954 Aristocraft. Now, if you are in the market for a boat, this one's for sale. It's only $9,900. Not sure if that includes the trailer, but what a cute little boat. Now, you can't take this out where there are big waves, but if you're in the lake, or if you're on a river perhaps, and there's a lot of rivers around Annapolis, you might want to consider this little Aristocraft. It's for sale in the Field of Dreams. So that completes our Field of Dreams segment. We're moving on. Please stay with us. Here's another wonderful old boat. This is called a Greenwich. It was made by the Greenwich Boat Company. Like many wooden boat manufacturers, they're no longer in business. This one's been beautifully restored. We're going to meet the owners in just a moment, interview them, go on board, and take a look at the inside. This boat's from Malvern, Pennsylvania. Come all the way down here for the boat show. But we're here at St. Michael's at the Maritime Museum. This is On the Road. Coming up next, an interview with the owners of the Monarque, a Greenwich-built boat. We're here right outside the Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum. I'm here with Tracy Munson. Tracy, thank you very much for coming on the program. We're just right outside the entrance to the museum. Going back to the website for a moment, not only can they find out what's going on, but if they want to become a member, they can do that as well.
Yes, there's a join tab at our website. You can join the museum. You get free general admission, free admission to many of our festivals. We have any Deadliest Catch fans out there. We have Edgar Hansen coming to our Waterman's Appreciation Day on August 12th. On July 28th, we have the Chesapeake Bay Folk Festival, and we have 5 bands coming that day, and plenty of activities. We have the Mid-Atlantic Small Craft Festival and Oyster Fest coming in November, and all of this information is at our website at cbmm.org.
Okay, well that sounds just fantastic. Tracy, I want to thank you for coming
very
on the
much.
show. Well, we're here with Bob and Renee Holzclaw. We are on board the beautiful Monarch. First question, and whoever wants to answer first is just fine. How long have you owned the boat?
Since 1975, we bought it off the original owner. So we're the second owner.
And Greenwich, is that, or Greenwich? How do you pronounce it?
It was made on the Cohansey River, and it depends on what side of the river you lived on. The north side was Greenwich, the south side was Greenwich. So it was built on the north side, so we call it a Greenwich.
A Greenwich, okay. So this is sort of like potato, or tomato, or tomato. So 1975, so you guys you know this boat inside and out then.
We bought it on Tillman Island, and it sat for about 2 years unattended, and it really did not look nice. I have other words for what it looked like, but I can't tell you now.
Oh my goodness, so you guys have spent years restoring it then?
Well, we've done everything ourselves.
Wow, well it is just beautiful. Where do you moor it now?
At Piney Narrows on Kent Island.
Okay, and are you undercover?
Yes, we're undercover now. It sat out for about 20 years, and then we finally put it undercover. We've been undercover now for the last 27.
Well, for our viewers that don't know, but being undercover is extremely important to a boat. Surprisingly enough, it's not salt water that will do in a boat, but rather fresh water.
And the sun.
And the sun. So so you're fortunate because in Maryland these days, state law, you can't build new covered slips. So only the old ones exist.
Yeah. There won't be any new ones around anymore.
No, that's unfortunate. But anyway, so you're over at Piney Narrows, and What's the furthest that you've taken this boat?
We've been to Virginia, and we've been all the way up the Northeast River with it. So we've kept it mostly in Maryland, we've done a lot of running in it in the old days.
We took it down the Tides in Virginia.
Tides in Virginia. All right, that's a bit of a trip. And what kind of how many knots per hour can
We can do
Monarch
about
do?
10 knots. Mostly everything on this boat right now is original. The engines and everything else. And they're 265 horse Palmer Internationals. And we burn about 10 gallon an hour and do about 10 knots.
All right, and Palmer's are diesel engines.
No, these are all gas.
Oh, they are gas. Okay, Palmer gas.
Yes.
All right, well, good. Well, we're going to go below if we can and take a look at the beautiful interior of the main salon.
More than happy to have you go down.
All right, well, let's go on down. There we go. We're down in the main salon of Monarch, and we're going to pan around just slowly so that you can see how spacious it is. Sometimes it's the beam or the width of the boat that ends up making it feel really spacious. And son of a gun, we've run back into Renee and Bob.
And here we are again.
And here you are again. So tell us a little bit more about the interior of the boat, some of the different rooms that you have on board here.
Oh, up above in here are the V bunks and a head. There's no shower in this head. In the rear stateroom we have a head and a shower. This is all mahogany inside here. Everything is original, including the sink and the spigot. And these two chairs, which I sort of took for granted, are everybody we get on board says, "Oh my God, look at these chairs." And some decorators wanted to buy them from us. So they're a little unusual, I guess, but we're so used to them.
All right, we're taking a look at those, and those are unique chairs.
And they're curved mahogany arm rests.
Well, now there's something for those of us that are not woodworkers. How did they get the wood to bend like that? Because that's all one piece.
They probably steam it.
And it's one piece.
All right, well, viewers, hold on. Don't get vertigo. I'm going to slowly pan around to
Now
the
he's
galley.
going to the refrigerator, which is all mahogany.
And that's original.
And that is original, along with the compressor down in the bilge, which is still original.
Uh-huh. All right, and I'm focusing in on the galley itself here now. So where Renee cooks her gourmet meals that she's famous on the Chesapeake for.
And that's why this salon looks as big as it does, because it's a galley up, and it doesn't go down into steps. It takes away some room.
My wife has a preference for what they call galley up. For some reason, she doesn't like the galley down, but
I don't either.
Galley
It
up.
gives you more room with the galley up.
it certainly does. All right, and I'm looking beyond you there. I'm going to move forward just a little bit into the V berth, and of course it's shaped like a V, hence the name V berth.
That's correct.
That's right.
All right. Well, Bob and Renee, this is a beautiful boat. Monarch is something obviously that you're very proud of, and it certainly shows. So we're going to have to move on to the next segment.
I have a power plant behind you if you'd like to see it.
Let's do that. Let's take a quick look so our viewers can see the diesel engines.
No?
All right, here we go. All right, so Bob has opened the hatch, and we're taking a look at the Palmer gas engine. A lot of complicated stuff on there, but you tell me that's the original engine.
These are original engines, 1961 Palmer Internationals.
And is that did you mention earlier that that's like a farm truck engine?
Yes, the engines themselves were for international truck engines and tractors. And the Palmer is the manifolds that they modified them for sea use.
Right, okay. All right, well, we're going to move on. Thanks for showing us the engine. We're going to take a quick look at a curved door in the head, and we're going to finish up then with some wood sculpture carving. All right, we're in the aft cabin. We have two separate bunks here, but what's of interest is this curved door. So, Bob, please tell us a little bit about a curved door, because most of them are straight.
Well, I was talking to a cabinet maker from Trumpy, and he came aboard our boat one day and said it took a carpenter one full extra day to make this curved door. And it's really a little unique, and it adds a little charm to the boat.
Well, now, something that big, and I'm looking now at the inside, so the door actually has a frame, and then they've taken a smaller piece of mahogany and probably steamed it or somehow with clamps.
Bent it around.
And bent it
steamed
around,
yes.
so that's an extra bit of work. An extra bit of work. All right, well, we're going to go back to the main salon and close out with some unique carvings, so please stay with us. All right, so before we go back to the main salon, though, here's something unique. We have a matching set, and Bob, you had a hand in making these.
I made them, yes. They're out of original old block and tackles, and the bases that you see here are from planks out of the bottom of a couple of skipjacks that they were working on in Tillman Island.
Well, there's a lot of history
So
there.
it has some history to it, yes.
Certainly does, and you obviously are quite handy.
I like to
does.
dabble around.
He likes to dabble around. All right, now we're going to go to the main salon and take a look at some more of Bob's work. Okay, we're back in the main salon, and this is a very unique piece of work, but Bob, tell us about it, please.
Okay, this is made out of the scraps from a oak tree in my backyard. These are scraps from mahogany that I used when I was working on the boat. And the copper that you see on here is the bottom sheathing of the Lady Katie skipjack. They put copper on the bottoms of them for when in the wintertime the bay ice is up and they won't cut into the wood. So it has a little bit of history to it and a little bit of charm from my backyard.
Well, it certainly has both of that. Well, Bob and Renee, if you can stand together just for our final closing shot here, I want to thank you for allowing us to come on board.
I gotta give my wife some credit. She does all the upholstering and the drapery work.
All right, you're a smart man to give your wife some credit on TV here.
I love it. Thank
All
you.
right. Well, thanks everybody, and stay with us. This is On the Road. We'll be right back.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Paul, that completes our show here in St. Michael's and the Maritime Museum. We had a great time. Of all the stuff that you saw and did, what did you like best?
Probably some of the new vessels that came in this time for our show. Probably some of the silver arrows, the early days of the transition of Chris Craft from wood to fiberglass. Certainly fascinating. I think too that we saw a lot more variety this year of different boats, from wood to glass.
Yeah, that's where we all went.
Sport fishermen, some early vintage vessels, some contemporary classes, kind of a real conglomeration of intelligent types of things that people could come in from the contemporary and not only obtain information about different vessels, but understand the history of their boats and how they construct them. So I think it was just a rewarding weekend, and certainly hope that other weekends.
Well, I certainly do. And those of you that watched the show from the beginning, you know that Paul and I motored over here from the Western Shore. So we're going to have to leave you now. We've got to get back in our boats, but we've got to sail or motor. Yeah, I guess we could sail, but they're motor boats, so we're going to motor back to the Western Shore. So that's our show On the Road. I'm Steve Eizan with Paul Warner. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.